There was once a curious creature known as man. Man had 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head, which included the majority of important features. Contrary to popular belief, the most important feature was not the brain, but the eyes, for the man was only ever interested in one thing: himself. Since the beginning of time, man has absorbed himself in the creation of drawings, paintings, and sculptures, many of which depicted idealized versions of himself. In the beginning, it was about man trying to find new ways to lustfully gaze upon himself, and instead it turned into one of the most important creations in today's society: the camera. Way back in the 1500s, the first camera was invented. Although this invention did not technically capture photographs, it was an easy way for artists to reveal real-world images and project them onto surfaces where they could trace, sketch, and draw images easily. Early fixed images didn't seem important until a French inventor worked his reaction of chemicals to capture a moment in time. This is the first version of Nepici's View from a Window at Le Gras, and also the earliest surviving photograph in a real-world scene. Unfortunately, the silver chloride over time would darken when exposed to light, so the photographs would usually disappear only after a couple of days. After Nepici's death, his cousin continued on his legacy until the first practical photograph process was unveiled. Called the daguerreotype, as commercialized, the process was very simple. The photographer would simply open the front of the hole, allow light exposure to hit the silver-plated, light-sensitive sheet, and count off as many minutes as the lighting condition seemed to require. This process, however, often required individuals to stand in front of a camera for upwards of 5 minutes before an image could be seen. This is why a lot of people didn't smile in old photographs. In 1857, a revolution happened. The gelatin dry plate, invented by Richard Maddock, allowed for quicker and higher quality image photos. Heat-ripening gelatin was more sensitive to light, making photos almost instantaneous. With daylight and a fast plate and film, a small camera could be handheld while taking a photo. Amateur photographs and candid portraits became popular. In 1885, photographic film was invented. This discontinuous innovation was invented by George Eastman. Eastman started with the idea of having a roll of film instead of sheets, however needed a camera body for his new invention. He called his first camera the Kodak. His camera was first offered for sale in 1888 and was relatively low price and easy to use. It came loaded with 100 exposures and needed to be sent back to the factory for processing and reloading when done. In the 1800s, Eastman took mass-market photography one step further with the Brownie. This was a simple and inexpensive box camera that introduced the idea of the snapshot. The Brownie was extremely popular and reached previously inaccessible markets with its low cost. By 1913, 35mm cameras became increasingly popular. It wasn't until 1925 that this incremental innovation started to be mass-produced and demand grew immediately. Kodak and other competition were quick to release similar products. However, 35mm cameras were still too expensive for most people. The first practical reflex camera was Franke and Heydrich TLR camera in 1928. The TLR was sufficiently compact to achieve widespread popularity. It was the first autofocus and as well as the first instant return mirror, which meant you could see what your photograph would look like before actually taking a photo. While conventional cameras were becoming more and more popular, the Polaroid Model 95 was the first visible instant print camera. This niche innovation enabled consumers to print a photo in under a minute. In this era, cameras became more compact, easier to use, and more automated. Film could be taken to any store to be developed, and new incremental additions to cameras were happening all of the time. This all changed with the age of the digital camera, as it was born in 1975. Instead of film, consumers could store photos on digital memory cards or internal storage systems. This disruptive innovation technology was said to be invented for the early US spy satellites, as previously it was extremely expensive to deorbit satellites just to retrieve film. Handheld digital cameras changed the way we could take photography. No longer did you have to worry about wasting expensive film or stopping by the store to get them developed. Now you could keep your precious memories alive forever. The first commercial camera phone was released in 1999. Truly mobile photography was revolutionary. Consumers no longer needed to carry their phones and cameras separately, but could have everything in one. Today, phone cameras have become the most widely adopted camera to date, and many of their technologies rival that of handheld professional photography cameras. When we look at the S-curve with these new technologies, we can see the first photo, the first instant photo, photography for all, or the Brownie, the digital camera, and camera phones. Looking at technology today, each camera on the market contributes unique value to consumers. Cameras throughout the ages have all come with varying degrees of affordability, portability, quality, and convenience. When it comes to the future of cameras, it's hard to predict. However, there are a couple of technologies that are currently being explored. The first one is scentography. Imagine capturing the scent at the same time you capture a photo. Like a scratch and sniff sticker, you can smell your photo to draw on fond memories of that moment in time. Cameras without shutter buttons. When you look at your iPhone, most likely you'll need hands and fingers to scroll and browse. However, imagine if you could scroll with your eyes. Or even better, imagine being able to capture images through your eyes. Photos are now coming to life. Imagine a Harry Potter newspaper, but actually. Imagine holographs of your experience or being able to immerse yourself in time with VR or AR. It's hard to say where the future of cameras will go, as digital cameras have been on the decline since 2010. There's one thing we know for sure. As we move towards the next innovation of camera, we will be better able to capture the world around us and in turn better understand the nature of mankind.